Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by the Muppet Whisperer, JJ.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And our big hero, Sean.
Greetings.
If you have a good title for my co-host here, after listening to today's episode, please send in your ideas to readygeeks@gmail.com. In today's episode, the Geeks explore some obscure historical events that took place at the Walt Disney World Resort. We celebrate Walt Disney World on this podcast as a kingdom of enchantment and entertainment. However, its grounds have also quietly witnessed moments of real-world history that blend the magical with the monumental. Over the years, the parks and resorts have served as a backdrop for events that shaped politics, culture, and even sports, becoming an unexpected stage where fantasy intersects with reality. Today, we'll dive into these lesser-known stories, exploring the ways Walt Disney World has subtly etched its place in the annals of history. So each of the geeks went our own ways and came up with some historical moments that happened at Disney World. Now, these aren't Disney history moments, but historical moments that occurred at Disney World.
Right.
Right.
None of them have to do directly with Disney.
Right, it's not like...
Stuff that's happened in Disney World.
Yeah.
We're not discussing, like, what happened in 1971 with, like, actually opening the park or building Epcot or something that's maybe a Disney history fact.
Right.
This is history at large that happens to have happened
At
Disney World.
Yeah. And this is a Walt Disney World podcast, right? But obviously, Disneyland, there's been so many more things that have happened at Disneyland just because it's been open for so much longer.
Yes, 16 years longer? 55 to 71?
Yeah. So we focused on Disney World in general, and we were looking for things that we thought our listeners maybe didn't know may have occurred at the resort. So, JJ, why don't you start us off with your historical event?
So, when you're at the parks and you start talking to other people that are really into Disney, you'll often hear some of these obscure history facts, right? The one that I heard that I was like, there's got to be more to this, is Richard Nixon gave his "I'm not a crook" speech at the Contemporary. So this is true. This is really where it happened. Also, it wasn't a prepared speech. This is something that I found out doing this. Not only was this not a prepared speech, it was just a question he was answering in front of the press. The press was having this big conference, and they got the president to come be a speaker. And in this research, I've kind of realized that Nixon might be the first documented Disney adult in history.
Well, that's progress for you.
Okay, so in 1955...
We don't claim him, though.
No. He's not an honorary geek.
not an honorary geek. I guess he's a Disney adult. 1955, the year that Disneyland was opened, Nixon was the governor of California.
Mm.
He was given a key to Disneyland by Walt himself and went to the park, had a great time. So much so that when he was the vice president in 59, there's a dedication ceremony for the monorails. Who's there? Nixon.
Yeah.
In 1969, Lily Disney honored him with a commemorative medal. So
Wow.
He is into Disney. He's going to the parks. They love that he's going to the parks.
Yeah.
Or something.
Seems like he's really in with the family.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Like the Disney family likes Nixon. So in the fall of 71, there are a series of conversations in the Oval Office that are recorded because apparently they're always recording you in the Oval Office.
I think Nixon starts that.
So in that spirit, he has several conversations with his chief of staff, Bob Haldeman, who also is part of Watergate.
Okay.
So basically, Nixon had just given a speech basically saying, we're losing the Vietnam War and our boys are dying out there for a war that we're probably going to lose. And he gives that speech. And then he's talking in the Oval Office with Bob Haldeman about if it was appropriate to go to the opening of Walt Disney World or not.
Well, at least he has the foresight to think about it.
Yeah.
So not only does he have that conversation, he has that conversation multiple times and keeps waffling back and forth like, oh, should I go? Shouldn't I go?
And he's looking for someone to, it's like when we think about, well, I really want to go, but should I go? Should I spend the money? And it's like, yeah, you're looking for someone to tell you, just go.
Yeah, you want someone to confirm the fact that you should go, and to take it off of your mind and your conscience. Take it off your guilt.
Vindicate you.
Yeah, vindicate you.
Go to Disney World.
Haldeman is, I guess, his ReedyGeeks because he is kind of agreeing that it would be, quote, a hell of a time. and Haldeman, not Nixon, goes, hey, they have this thing called the Hall of Presidents there, and it's an interesting twist because they have living figures of all the presidents. Each one of them talks for something, including you. That might be a little awkward, though, for you. And then Haldeman suggested at some point in these conversations to Nixon, maybe he should just go before the public goes. And like just have like the White House go, like just Nixon and his family go to see Disney World or whatever.
I think that looks worse.
And then,
that looks like that your family got a private tour of Disney World while the Vietnam War is going on.
And then Nixon said, this is a direct quote of Richard Nixon. You've got to have people around to make a preview worthwhile. I wouldn't want to be sitting there alone with Mickey the Mouse.
Yeah, that would be kind of weird, right?
Mickey the Mouse.
Mickey
the Mouse. So he keeps debating it and ultimately ends up just sending a White House flag to Roy and a letter on letterhead saying that he wished them well with the new park. And Disney preserves that flag. They've displayed it at the Hall of Presidents.
I was going to ask, is that flag still?
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So more evidence that Nixon is a Disney adult. His wife said that Nixon gets a bigger kick out of the rides than their kids did.
And
which
guy.
Yeah, he's a ride guy. So now let's go back to the "I'm not a crook" speech. I don't think it was a coincidence. I think the media knew that Nixon loved Disney, and if they held this conference in Disney World, he would show up.
He would show up.
Like they just baited him into coming. He was invited to do a Q&A at an annual convention for the Associated Press. So it was all the Associated Press, the managing editors, were there, and it was at that convention center. So he comes, he does the Q&A. One of the questions is about Watergate, and that's where the whole thing with the "I'm not a crook," that's when he says it. It's all him off the cuff talking about like denying the Watergate thing.
I think he says something like, the American people need to know if their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
Right. So fast forward to Nixon is a crook. He resigns in disgrace and
Spoiler alert.
History stuff, blah, blah, blah. So Nixon, not really in the public eye after this too much. However, in 1982, there are previews of Epcot, and I'll give you guys two guesses to who's there. And
Nixon?
Good old Dick Nixon.
Yeah, Tricky Dick himself. I have a picture of him posed with the Dreamfinder and Figment and his grandson. Nice. So it's like Nixon's holding his grandkid, and Dreamfinder is holding Figment, and it's like a little picture. Also, one more thing, his National Library even mentions his love of the Disney parks. It says it calls him the foremost Disney fan of all the presidents.
Wow, I can see that. So I don't know. He seems so much more approachable now.
So Andrew, you're like the Richard Nixon of the group.
It's like the history guy, but also loving Disney.
Yeah. And you're a crook.
And he's been recording all of our conversations.
Even the ones not in our studio.
Right. Yes. when we're unaware of it.
We're unaware of it.
Your homes are bugged.
Wow. So much more than
so much more to that
just,
story.
I'm not a crook.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how it started. I just was like, oh, let's see why he was. I wanted to know why he was in Disney. Like, I wonder if that's explained.
Right.
Like, because I thought, like, oh, everyone talks about it as a speech. So you go, why would he give a prepared speech in Disney World?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So, sure enough, there was a lot more to the story, and I think those Associated Press editors knew how to catch him off guard, and that was to offer him a nice place to stay in the most magical place on Earth.
Wow.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
I've got one more thing. One more Nixon thing. In 82, guess where he stayed?
Where?
The Contemporary.
Oh, when he went back, he stayed at the Contemporary. That's funny.
He stayed at the Contemporary, the same place where he gave his "I'm not a crook" speech.
I wonder if he went to the room and just stood there and was like, damn.
This is where it all went sideways. This is your old dick.
If I could go back.
I want to go back. That's funny that you did Nixon, because I also did an American president as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So first, I thought this was pretty interesting. There have only been 2 presidents that haven't gone to Walt Disney World, that Walt Disney World hasn't hosted. You think you know the 2 presidents?
Now, before I give my answers, do you mean while they were sitting presidents?
Yes, and Walt Disney World invites them down and hosts them. Yeah.
Okay. An obvious answer has to be Donald Trump.
I think it's Donald Trump.
Yeah. He was going to. He had a campaign rally planned for the Grand Floridian in 2019, but then he changed the location to Miami.
And if I had to guess the other one, I would say...
I hope it's not Obama. That would be real racist.
I think Jimmy Carter.
No, Jimmy Carter went to Disney World.
I'm going to say H.W. Bush, because he was a one-term president and he was kind of in and out.
Nope.
Oh, was it JFK?
No, that's too early.
JFK
too early.
Is pre Walt Disney World.
No, it was Gerald Ford.
Oh, well, another short
presidency. Yeah. But I'm here actually to talk about Ronald Reagan. All right, and here's another question for you.
I'm here to talk about Ronald Reagan. Why did our subscriber base drop 100%?
Enough Disney. Let's talk Reagan.
This became a Reagan episode.
You're listening to ReedyGeeks.
Calm down, Rover. I was only kidding.
The alliteration it works for it. January 21st. Does that date ring a bell for you guys?
January 21st?
Yeah.
That's usually around the inauguration?
Yes, it is. It's the inauguration day. Every 4 years, right?
There we go.
Even if you were reelected, you still have
inauguration,
right? So we have January 21st in 1985. Ronald Reagan has been reelected, and it's his inauguration day. Unfortunately for Ronald Reagan and everyone that planned to attend, it's 7 degrees outside.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's very cold, very cold. So they have to move all of the events to an indoor location. Now, they had planned on a huge parade of 50 different schools, marching bands from all over the country to come and march in front of Ronald Reagan, which, to be honest, sounds miserable. Like, if you're Ronald Reagan or having to watch 50 marching bands, high school marching bands.
And each one you have to be like, these are great Americans. Doesn't matter how bad they are, how out of tune their instruments are. You just gotta sit there and smile and clap.
Right. So they have to cancel it. They do have a small one that they do inside, but it's only 5 schools, and they just do it for the cameras, right? But who's there at the indoor parade is our favorite Disney CEO, Michael Eisner. And he suggests to the people who are putting this on and to Reagan, hey, why don't you come down to Disney World? We have this new theme park, Epcot. It has a world showcase, and we could do the parade right there. So a couple months later, they decide to go down to Epcot. They get many of the marching bands that were supposed to be in the parade. They do a march around World Showcase while Reagan is seated in the it's the Gardens of America. What's that stage?
Oh, where the bands play in the American Adventure?
Yes.
The band shell in America.
Yeah.
Okay.
The stage in America. He's not on the stage, but they're facing the American Pavilion as the parade goes by, and then he makes a speech and everything like that. But the Secret Service was not in love with this idea.
I was going to comment that's very wide open.
Yes. They were not in love with that idea. They actually took him by helicopter and landed behind the American Adventure and had him get into an armored car, and then they did a lap around the World Showcase, went back to the American Pavilion, and then he went from that armored car into a bulletproof casing to watch.
Very like a Pope Mobile kind of
Yes,
thing.
exactly. And everyone at the the day was open for Epcot. Like, people were there.
Oh, wow.
And so they got to see all of this, and just regular customers of Disney World, right? Just with so much added security, different security checkpoints as you got closer to the American Pavilion.
No one's bringing an ice mule in.
No, you can't. No, not at all. Not back then. But yeah, so that was a nice little thing, and that's one of many times that Ronald Reagan went to Disney parks, not Disney World itself.
Well, because he's a California guy, so and an actor, so I'm sure has had meetings with the Disney company, and being so high up in California, I'm sure you are certainly going to Disneyland multiple times. Well documented. Too.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Mickey Mouse was there. Took pictures with him, and he was
Mickey the Mouse.
It was Mickey the Mouse.
Okay. Yeah, use his government name, his Richard Nixon name.
He was in his Stars and Stripes Mickey Mouse attire, Mickey the Mouse attire. And Minnie was there. Oh, and they released 15,000 balloons after his speech, and they had a flyover by 4 F-16 fighters.
Oh, like the blue? Was it the Blue Angels or just a different?
No, I think it was. Just F-16 fighter jets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
not specific.
Isn't Walt Disney World's property generally, at least to a certain height, no airspace, no fly zone?
I think that's only since 9/11, though.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure they would make special arrangements for the president, but
oh yeah, I mean, I think the Marine One can go wherever it wants to go.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could even use the now abandoned runway.
You know what? That's funny, because that was going to be one of my obscure facts, is that there used to be an airport literally in Disney World.
Yeah.
And it's just a really long road now next to where you go drive to the Contemporary. And if you look at it from Google Maps, it looks just like a runway.
It's still, it's basically still there. It's just abandoned. So I'm sure there's just like grass and stuff growing in between the cracks.
Yeah.
Walt Disney World never gets rid of its old stuff. They just let it decay and decompose.
There's so many graveyards in Walt Disney World. The bodies.
All the people that worked at the airport, they're still there.
They never told them to clock out and go home. They're still there.
Boys, watch your manners.
Yeah, if you can't say something nice.
Boys.
All right, so Sean, what's your historical event at Disney World?
So I'm going to steer the podcast away from politics.
That's probably a good idea.
And I'm going to talk about a band some people are aware of, the Beatles.
Never heard
familiar with the band?
No.
I don't know the approximate age demographic of our listener base currently, but decent band.
Obscure band creating obscure history in Disney World.
That's exactly why we're here
today.
One of the things that always kind of amazed me about the Beatles is that for how popular they are and how popular they will be forever, as long as there's history and people remembering their music, is that they did everything in about 7 years.
Yeah, even less. Yeah.
All their music, all their albums, everything, their movies, their music, everything they recorded. I mean, stuff has come out afterwards, of course, but everything they've done as the Beatles was in about a 7-year span.
I'm calling bullshit.
From about
That's
1963
aliens gave them the songs.
till in 1968, infighting and disagreements within the band, George Harrison and Ringo Starr had already quit the Beatles. They had come back here and there. John Lennon was out of the Beatles. And in 1970, Paul McCartney was the one who officially announced that he was quitting the Beatles. Paul McCartney was the Beatles. When he made that announcement, it was the Beatles are done, the Beatles are over. And John Lennon never really made any announcements, never made any public appearances or made anything official. And it took 4 years of red tape and politics within the band and fighting over money and who gets this and who gets these rights. And finally, in 1974, there was going to be a meeting of all the Beatles and Apple Records at the Plaza Hotel in New York City. Everyone was there. All the representatives were there. John Lennon never showed up. George Harrison and Ringo Starr called him. Where are you? He said he didn't feel the time was right. He decided to go on vacation for the winter. This was December of 1974. He was in Walt Disney World.
Wow.
And in 1974, in the Polynesian Village Hotel, currently unconfirmed by Disney, probably rightfully and purposefully so, unconfirmed by Disney what specific room he was staying in. Although I have read that there are people that figured it out, what room he was in.
How could you figure it out?
I thought there was a plaque in front of the room. In front of the area.
I don't know if it's in front of the actual room or it's in because it says, although Disney is unable to confirm which room Lennon was in, it's apparent that it was a ground floor corner room in the Samoa Longhouse, formerly Hawaii, that looked out at the Seven Seas Lagoon with Cinderella Castle visible in the distance.
Oh my God, that's got to be 1 or 2 rooms. That's so specific.
And a lawyer delivered him the papers that finally dissolved the Beatles on December 29th, 1974. So the Beatles officially, formally, legally ended at Walt Disney World.
Wow. So he just goes on vacation.
It's John Lennon, man.
I guess he can do whatever he wants. John
Imagine.
Lennon. Yeah.
When you're John Lennon,
Imagine
do whatever you
being
want. Imagine.
So that's not happy news. That's not a happy historical event there.
No.
But I guess hey, the Beatles had their time. They had to go.
They had their time.
Yeah.
I think
The Beatles are
the
amazing.
Beatles are still having their time.
Yeah. Did I watch 5 hours of a documentary of like random footage that Peter Jackson sifted
and it was
through?
so good.
It was so good.
Yeah.
The Get Back
The
documentary.
Get Back documentary.
I didn't see that.
Oh, it's so good.
That was like one of the first things, I think, when like Disney Plus finally launched. It was like one of those things that was trying to get people to subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Like that and The Mandalorian were like the big pulls.
Oh, for me, it was the Imagineering
To get-
story.
Well, that was great, but they
Yeah,
never
that
did
was-
more with it.
I know.
I've watched those 5 episodes like 15 times. They're
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, why don't they put one out for something else? Put one out for Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah, it could be just a quick episode or something like
Like
that.
every now and then they just release new ones.
Yeah. Or they should go back and go further in depth because it was quick.
Yeah, they're
You
like
know.
15, 20 minutes
Yeah.
each. Yeah, they're not long.
Yeah.
They should just be making. I hope they're making new ones for all these new lands that they're doing.
They are documenting this like crazy because
Yeah.
they know that's easy, that's easy, footage for them to come up with. That's cheap for them to produce.
Everything is content, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, guys, got time for a little game?
Absolutely.
I think so.
Okay, guys, we got the return of a game that we played a long time ago called Ride, Preserve, Demolish. This is a little bit of a variation of a game you might have played when you were younger. That's like
We can't say it.
No, I don't think we could say that. Come on.
marry.
F word, marry, kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good enough. That's
Yeah. Boink.
Boink, marry, kill.
Andrew does
Boing.
his best to maintain that this is a family-friendly podcast.
We have to be able to click that button that says like
Clean.
Clean, yeah.
We're clean.
Although
We are
you're
clean.
you're
We're pretty
typically
clean.
allowed 1 or 2 before they slap that advisory on the episode.
So save it.
I'll save it, and when the moment's right.
So basically, I'm gonna give three rides, and you're gonna have to pick one to demolish, one to preserve, which means that you'll be able to forever keep it in A mode, but no new stuff. It's not gonna get. It's just gonna stay in A mode how it currently is.
Okay.
It's not gonna get enhancements. And then ride means You're just gonna go on it, and whatever happens to it in the future, you can't save it.
Okay.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't necessarily mean it's going away. You're just gonna be like, I'll take my chances.
Yeah. Preserve is there's no changes. This is what it's going to be like forever.
It's gonna stay in A mode. It'll always be at the parks forever and ever, like Muppet Vision 3D.
Oh God, rest in peace.
I'm still sad about it. Okay, first set. I'm gonna start you off easy. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, Tiki Room, Hall of Presidents.
Oh God, that's easy. Can I demolish all three?
You gotta ride one.
Oof.
I thought that was easy.
So, what I'm gonna do? I am going to demolish Monsters Inc.
Yeah, that's the obvious one.
Yeah, because it I actually went on it for the first time. I think this summer.
It's not bad. It's just not good.
Yeah, it was kind of. Oh no! Oh my God, no! I didn't go on it. Ron went on it, and I watched him go on it. That's what.
Oh my gosh! You watch someone watch the ride on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
Oh boy,
that's so. I still have never been on it. So I'm going to demolish it. The Tiki Room, I'm going to keep it the way it is because for some reason Walt loved it.
Well, it was the first time he ever used animatronics.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And I mean,
well, the Disneyland version.
Yeah.
The Disneyland version of the Tiki Room is the first time anyone's ever seen animatronics.
Could they put like silencers on the clapping?
On everything?
Of every time they talk. The Hall of Presidents, I'm going to ride that and let that change as we get more and more presidents. And hey, listen, if they make it a Muppets Hall of Presidents, I'm down with that too.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. I'm going to ride Hall of Presidents. If they get rid of it, I'm probably going to be okay with it. Tiki Room is the one I'd preserve out of all this, and Monsters Inc. floor is the Laugh Floor is going to go because they're going to put they're definitely going to put a 4D show or maybe they'll even just move this to
that would be a mistake.
I know. They got to do something a little more creative than just literally move the Laugh Floor to Muppet Vision 3D. I think people would be upset about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That needs to be a good show that,
a really good 4D show.
Yeah.
Which we know they're capable of.
Yeah.
And have been since 1991. Like
yeah. And their 40 shows are always pretty good. Like Honey, I Shrunk the Audience was good.
Yeah.
Phil Our Magic is good.
Tough to Be a Bug.
Great.
It's great.
Phil Our Magic is great.
Oh. So was Muppet Vision 3D.
Yeah.
I have the exact same order as you two. I don't think there's anything worth keeping about Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor. And for the same reason, I'm going to ride Hall Presidents and let it evolve over time with more additions and maybe a subtraction or two. And I don't think I would ever go on the Tiki Room again, but for history's sake and something that I think people would weirdly go up in arms about if it were to leave the parks or get changed, we'll let them have it forever.
I think you could take away Walt Disney World and it would be fine, but you cannot touch.
You can't take
Disneyland.
it from Disneyland because it's literally the first animatronics that have ever existed.
Yeah.
And it also flows better there. It's in a spot where it's not in an obstructive place. It's right next to. It's actually a really great spot to eat your Dole Whip. You just grab your Dole Whip and you go in there.
Mm-hmm.
No bad places to eat a Dole Whip.
That's true. Let's eat. Okay, next one. The carousel, the teacups, and alien swirling saucers.
I don't go on any of these.
No,
so
me neither.
it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm going to destroy alien soaring saucers because I don't know. I think
You're gonna take
it's
another
silly.
ride away from Hollywood Studios.
Yeah. I don't know. Just that seems silly. Teacups, I'm gonna ride. If they were to become like Tim Burton's teacups or something like that from his Alice in Wonderland, I'd be okay with that. And the carousel, though, like the history behind that ride is so cool. How it came from like 1800s, right? It's an 1800s.
Yeah, it's the early
Carol.
1900s or
Or
something.
early
It's
1900s.
very old. It's over 100 years old.
Yeah, from New Jersey, and they took it apart and brought it back and brought it down to Disney. And
The carousel is from New Jersey.
I think so. Yeah,
Wow.
Somewhere northern, Michigan, New Jersey, something.
Well,
Maine, Canada.
yeah, we're just naming states where it gets
And
cold.
countries.
Countries.
Greenland.
Russia.
I was flip flop the. I'm keeping is it preserving
Preserving.
the carousel for history's sake. Demolishing the teacups because who cares?
Yep.
They're uncomfortable. They're small, and alien swirling saucers is basically just a better version of the teacups.
Agreed. That's exactly where I'm going. I'm mirroring Sean, and I would add that Hollywood Studios needs these rides that are things to do to kill time in between these big e-ticket attractions.
Hollywood Studios
You take-
needs rides that can funnel in 100 people at a time at a clip and just keep people in line and keep people busy.
I just hate that it's such a passive ride. The alien swirling saucers, while teacups is like active. Like you can spin yourself as fast as you want, as slow as you want, right?
Can you not do that on swirling saucers?
No, you just sit there.
Swirling saucers.
Oh, is
you
it?
sit
Okay,
there
I
and it
thought
just
there was- I
whips.
thought
It
there was
whips you
control.
around.
Yeah,
Okay.
it whips you around.
It whips you around.
Who doesn't love getting whipped around? You like the Slinky Dog roller coaster.
That doesn't whip you around. That
barely
thrills you.
That barely moves. That does not handle you in a thrilling manner. Okay,
Here we go.
now I'm starting to get real. We're gonna upset people in this. Small World, Jungle Cruise, Spaceship Earth. Yeah, I might have gone a little overboard with.
Well, I know my ride because I want it to change. I want it to constantly be updating, and that's Spaceship Earth. I don't want it to go away, but it can't be what it is now forever. It's just
I don't know. I think I would preserve Spaceship Earth as it is
Really?
right now because it's just the best corniest thing I think Walt Disney World has to offer.
Can they
It would be
can
no,
they
it would-
maintain it?
It would be in A mode always. Whenever you go, it's in what it is right now in A mode. So
Is the kid
imagine if
facing you? Is the kid facing you and his face isn't broken?
Yes, his
Okay.
face gets fixed.
His
so
face
it's
gets
just
fixed.
everything is fixed and working properly. So the pictures work.
Yeah.
You still have the same prompts for your future though. But those pictures they take of you actually look like you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all that stuff works. So like the stuff that's broken is now working. Imagine a Spaceship Earth in A mode in like whatever. When did this version get refurbed? Like 2006 or something? Like imagine riding it then when everything was fresh and new.
Yeah.
And it's always going to be like that. when
A
you go
nice
on.
coat of paint.
Does
You can smell the paint.
preserving mean that the ride is would no longer get a holiday overlay?
Oh. No,
'Cause that
no,
would-
because
that-
they could still. They would. I would operate. No, the holiday overlay would operate in A mode.
But I'm saying like what I was saying not just but like because the difference between ride and preserve, I might want to preserve the Jungle Cruise so that it would always stay like they couldn't change it. They couldn't do anything with the making it more to the movie or making any new changes, but I would still want it to have the Christmas Jingle Cruise overlay.
Right. And that the skippers can control their script.
Right.
Because you imagine if the skippers had to adhere to an exact script and
yeah,
tell
that
the
sounds-
same joke.
That sounds terrible.
So I think I would preserve the Jungle Cruise and I would ride Spaceship Earth and allow change.
And destroy
And
It's a
I
Small
would
World.
redacted A Small World.
I think that's what I would do as well.
would you destroy it from the annals of history?
Nobody would miss that ride. Within 5 years,
And again-
nobody would be talking about how they missed that ride.
And again, because it's better at Disneyland. Disneyland has the real one.
Yeah.
We have it's a copy and it's shorter and not as nice. Everything about it just is lesser than the one in LA.
It's really a shame that that's like the case with so many rides.
Most rides,
Yeah.
and even the one ride that I would point to is like that one was definitely better in Disney World.
Splash Mountain.
They changed, and now the
Yeah.
one in LA is better. They have the better version of Tiana now.
Oh, that's fun.
Is that right? There's a difference. There's a
Yeah,
longer,
there's
a
apparently
longer version
more.
of-
Yeah, there's more animatronics and more show scenes in the Disneyland version. So I'd imagine that it would be better. Okay.
You didn't finish your.
Oh, I didn't finish mine?
Oh yeah, we didn't hear yours.
So
Andrew.
I'm going to destroy Small World.
Nice. Good.
Yeah,
Good.
same thing.
Good.
Ride Spaceship Earth and preserve Jungle Cruise.
Good.
And make sure the backside of water always stays in Disney World.
Agreed.
Yeah, preserve the backside.
Now, do you always go on Jungle Cruise?
No, I hardly ever do.
I do. When we were just there in August, it was closed. But if it's open, I'm going on it.
Do you get a lightning lane or something?
I used to fast pass it. Yeah.
If
If it's later in the day and I have fast passes available, and it's like we can get on this because the Jungle Cruise also borders on. I don't want to wait 45 minutes for it.
right.
Or 90
But if-
minutes.
no,
like,
But if
It's-
later in the day I've got a fast pass to burn
yeah.
and I can get on it in 10 minutes, yeah, 100%.
To me, I will always ride it if there's a fast pass or actually I've rope dropped.
I was
Jungle
about to
Cruise.
say
That is usually
it's a contender.
So for whatever
for rope drop.
reason, whenever I go, whoever I'm with, always go left. And it's always Pirates and the Jungle Cruise, like the first two rides we go on.
And I would actually say, even though Pirates is a bigger draw, you should be riding Jungle Cruise first
Because you can get on Pirates quick.
the capacity of the ride
Yeah.
is so bad.
Yeah.
Jungle Cruise is so slow to load. It doesn't the ride capacity has to be really bad on that. And Pirates is one of the best ride capacities because
They're just shooting boats out.
yeah, constantly. There's a constant stream of boats.
That would be a good episode, is just talk about in what order is Disney going to get rid of these rides. Like, is Jungle Cruise maybe the next big one to get? I mean, it's such a
It's
huge
a-
footprint.
It's a big plot of land.
Yeah.
It's a big plot of land. But they've been doing so much to like
I mean, they just made a movie, but the Jungle Cruise, I don't think that's going anywhere.
and
that's
they
true.
and
That's
they
a good
took
point.
away some of the insensitive things to indigenous people.
Yeah. I think with the changes at Magic Kingdom, this is going to be it for a while at Magic Kingdom.
Oh yeah, we won't see anything until like 2040 now. After this,
Yeah, once Villains Land is complete, which would probably be the no,
Like,
I'm gonna say no.
2030. I think Villains Land will be completely
I would say that
2035.
I wouldn't be surprised if in 2030 that they'll add individual rides in the 2030s, even after. I think they're gonna have to every 5 years put something there, put a ride there.
Mm.
Like it doesn't have to be a huge overlay and a new land and a new this, but I could see them squeezing a Moana ride into Adventureland. I could see them replacing Buzz Lightyear with a different thing in Tomorrowland. I could see them replacing
Yeah.
Monsters Inc. Laugh
Yeah.
Floor.
I guess you had New Disneyland in 2012, right? And then you had Tron as the next big ride, and that's like 5-6 years later that they planned for it to come
Right.
out. you
Right.
know?
So exactly. So they squeezed Tron in.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if 5 years after Villains Land, they're squeezing something in.
You see, Doc, I knew you'd get it because you got a wonderful imagination.
Okay. Space Mountain, Tron, and Everest. Expedition Everest.
Ooh,
I think that one's easy.
it's an easy one for me.
Oh
Right?
man, it's a shame, but anyone want to go first?
I will preserve Expedition Everest so that we're always getting the Yeti. That's the
'cause
stipulation.
You're right. So preserve means that
A mode.
The
that
Yeti
A mode, that
works.
Disco Yeti is done and the
Yeah.
Yeti works again.
Yeah, Yeti works. I will ride Space Mountain, and I will get rid of Tron because I just think it is the most out of place addition Disney World's ever put in one of their parks.
So I'm thinking though that there's not much you can do with Space Mountain. Like by picking Space Mountain for ride, you're essentially preserving it because they're not gonna. I don't know. Like it's complete change if you turn on the lights and add show scenes or something like that.
No, you
like-
would just yeah, but riding it means that you're okay if they change it.
right.
Right? So if they say we're gutting Space Mountain and we're building a brand new roller coaster inside there, what you know is Space Mountain
It's
is
still going to be Space Mountain, but it's just going to be a different track, different
completely
ride,
different
roller coaster.
ride. Because
That's
I think
cool.
that could happen.
Yeah.
They're actually doing that They're doing that in
one
Tokyo.
in Tokyo, yeah.
They're doing that in Tokyo right now.
Yeah.
They closed Space Mountain, and they said that they're going to put a brand new one in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. They should do that.
They should do that. So I guess that would be Ride.
Yeah.
And then if they do it, they do it. If they don't, they don't.
It's a shame they spent so much money on Tron and we just blew it up.
I agree.
Them's the breaks.
I think well, actually, you know what?
That's showbiz, baby.
I'm going to do the opposite.
Okay.
And I'm going to ride Tron because I haven't ridden Tron. So I'm going to ride Tron to say that I've written it. I got to get that credit count. That's for you coaster nerds.
And it could change. Like they could do that, like do more to that.
I don't think so.
No, once that track's done, that's going to be
ride.
there
That
for
ride
at
is
least
too.
20
That ride's
years.
too intricate.
Well, there are screens though in there. Like they could retheme it.
Okay,
They could
okay.
retheme it. Although you're on a motorcycle.
Well,
Or-
you're on
a Tron-
a light bike or a
Yeah.
light cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, those trains are probably each train is probably like $500,000 because a regular roller coaster train, like a not themed train, is like $250,000.
Yeah.
Okay, last one: Cosmic Rewind, Kilimanjaro Safaris, Flight of Passage.
I have a question of morals and ethics.
Do the animals get destroyed too?
If I destroy the safari,
The animals will find homes. The animals will find homes. Floridian homes. No.
Is that
The animals are safe. No one is harmed.
okay?
There's no harm being done. It's just you can't ride that ride anymore.
see, I do. My instinct with these rides would be the safari feels like the easy demolish here, but
It's what makes Animal Kingdom Kingdom.
Animal Kingdom is steering so far away from animals with their recent additions, and like the Indiana Jones ride is not animal based. Everything they're doing with Encanto is more culture based than animal based.
Yep.
Pandora, there's fake animals.
I have a suspicion that there's going to be a Central and South America, and there's not going to be an animal exhibit at all there.
Like Animal Kingdom is so far removed from really anything to do with animals that I think you need the safari to keep it Animal Kingdom. But I the other two rides, I can't in good conscience demolish either of them.
Yeah, I agree. And the South American area, it probably won't have animals because the infrastructure just isn't there really, unless it's a very small exhibit like the
with
birds,
animals that
the bird
don't need
things.
that level of care.
Like
Yeah.
you can't make like an Amazon rainforest.
No,
In
There's
Animal
right.
Kingdom.
There's not going to be leopards in that area.
no,
Like they have a tiger exhibit in Asia. They're not going to do leopards.
right.
But
it's a huge footprint of infrastructure.
they might do like capybaras.
People love capybaras these days. Big fans.
Might put a big snake in there. Might be nice. Might be
Not a
fun.
fan.
Oh, and
There's
Indiana
enough big
Jones-
snakes in
Indiana
Florida
Jones.
already.
Indiana Jones does hate snakes.
Yeah.
I actually think I'm gonna ride Cosmic Rewind.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna preserve Kilimanjaro Safari, and I think I'm gonna demolish Flight of Passage.
Wow.
So,
Hot take.
I was.
That's a
I,
hot
I
take.
might be a hot take, but I just think that Kilimanjaro Safaris is Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I know there was a time in which you would say that the Great Movie Ride is MGM.
It's a good. That's a good point.
Well, here's my, because maybe I'm overthinking the game and I'm over rationalizing my decision, but just because we're demolishing the safari doesn't mean that in its place in the future something else animal themed
Yeah.
Oh, that's
can
true.
come there. So that's why I'm
No,
demolishing
the Earth has been
safari.
salted, and nothing can grow back.
They're
there.
gonna build another hotel.
Yeah. DVC baby.
It's gonna be IP. We're getting rid of Kilimanjaro. Well, actually, it's so funny. But my idea, they're gonna get rid of Kilimanjaro Safaris and they're gonna put a Lion King dark ride there. Like that'd actually be really cool.
I'm gonna preserve Cosmic Rewind because I think it's perfect in the state it's in.
It is such a great ride. It's so perfect. But I'm just thinking in 25 years that maybe Guardians of the Galaxy isn't going to be relevant and the tech will look bad.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I think I'm gonna ride Flight of Passage because James Cameron is nowhere near done with these movies. And I just think the ability to, like they do with Star Tours, just keep adding scenes.
Yep.
Adding scenes and adding different, and maybe at some point it gets to a point where there's maybe 4 or 5 different versions of Flight of Passage.
Or or they do
with
the
Star
whole
Tours,
Star
you
Tours
get A,
things.
you don't get B, you get A, you get D, and you get, you
Right.
get different
There's-
variations.
There's 3 different beginnings, there's 4 different middles, and there's 4 different ends.
I think there's more you can do with Flight of Passage than Guardians of the Galaxy, which is interesting because Guardians of the Galaxy is going to come up in a future episode for possible changes.
Oh, interesting.
But
okay.
Oh.
I'm interested in what a perfect A mode safari looks like. Like, do you get to see?
Oh, does it go back to the poachers?
Oh. Okay,
well,
that's interesting.
But that is interesting though, because does that mean that at all times the animals are all out?
Yeah. That's
A mode. I mean, that's got to be like you get to see a lion
lions.
roar.
Yeah. Like that to me sounds like that could be amazing. And if that's the case, I'm gonna preserve Safari.
Wow.
I'm going to ride Flight of Passage, and I mean it's my favorite ride in Disney World, I think, right now.
But you're gonna demolish.
But I'm gonna demolish the Cosmic Rewind. I just don't like this question.
Really?
If
you pick
the
Flight
Safari,
of Passage over
don't get
Cosmic
angry at the
Rewind?
question. Don't get angry at the question.
if the Safari,
don't blame the game maker.
if the Safari guarantees me like the best animal viewing experience every time I ride it, I gotta preserve that. And Flight of Passage, I really love that idea of what you're saying. Like it can constantly be changing with every new Avatar movie that comes out. Like that's like it's kind of like Soarin' there, right? Like they could just make a new video and
It's a new
change it.
program.
And you really can't do that with Cosmic Rewind. And you
Can't.
Right,
That's
a
what I'm
good
saying. In
point.
25 years, everyone's gonna be bored with the ride. They're gonna want to tell a new story.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to do something with it. So that's why it was just a ride for me, not a preserve.
Right.
But because it's like one of the best rides that have ever existed, well, I guess Flight of Passage is too in a lot of aspects. But,
Especially when it came out in like 2017.
yeah. But I like Cosmic Rewind more than Flight of Passage, so I'm going. That's why it's my ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was actually a good question. That was a good one.
It's hard. I had to make them tough.
Yeah.
We're gonna play this game. I can't give you softballs.
No, don't give us softballs.
Okay. That's about all I got.
All right. Sean, you want to take us out?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the ReedyGeeks podcast. Rate, subscribe, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Any questions, comments, concerns, or future idea topics, reach out to us at ReedyGeeks@gmail.com and check out all our socials at ReedyGeeks. We'll see you next time.
I think I'll be leaving the band now.
When?
Now. Got a few places.
This week's Honest Send-Off comes courtesy of George from Liverpool. If you have an honest send-off that you want played at the end of one of our episodes, please submit an audio clip to us via our email address, ReedyGeeks@gmail.com. ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast, is hosted and executive produced by Andrew Shopee, Sean Murphy, and JJ Hefner. Music and audio engineering by JJ Hefner.
Bon voyage.